Previously on The Insurance Apprentice.
The team dynamic is always inherently difficult.
I think we spent a lot of time arguing.
The one person really missed the brief.
I definitely want to be in the winning team.
I've expected so much more from him.
This week's presentation, we crumbled.
You can always retire from the contest.
You gotta fight. This competition is about your position.
One of the teams really blew me away.
Outstanding job.
We may be in the bottom 4.
Quick little bit of research I would have thought would have been your first point of call.
I think we bombed big time.
9 contestants started the Insurance Apprentice 2020. Now, only 6 remain. Every week, the competition gets tougher and time is running out for the contestants to impress the judges, who will once again decide who makes it to the next round. This is the Insurance Apprentice.
Given that I was in the winning team last week, I feel confident. It inspired me to do more.
Being in the losing team last week obviously gives one a sense of demoralization.
I think I've learned by this stage to take it on the chin. I think I've been in the losing team a few times.
We saw what happened last week where, a talented individual like Nabila was dismissed.
Last week, I came out as the triumphant leader.
I think we worked very well as a team.
My attitude this week is just, let's just get on with it.
You also need to be quite strategic with who your relationships are, who, if I can call them alliances maybe.
We are down to 6 and it's crunch time.
How's last week though, hey? I'm still trying to figure out how we survived, right?
Top 6. Yes, just only about to get harder.
Guys, we're down to 6 now.
Oh gosh, no, it's
We are the top 6. It's crunch time. We're in week 5 and I feel confident.
It's a brand new week and I'm excited.
My strategy for this week is the same strategy I had right in the beginning, to just be myself, focus on the task.
So are you guys ready for this week's task?
This week's gonna be a sweat and a running emoji, I think.
Literally. There's only 6 of us left. If you're still hiding behind a team, at this stage, your strategy needs to change.
The feeling amongst the team going into this week, there's mixed emotions.
The sponsors are coming out with even crazier tasks.
They are.
I wonder what this week is all about.
Yeah.
This week is the week. Let's give it our best.
It's a new week.
It's a new week, it's a new task.
Bring it on.
Absolutely.
We bring it on.
Each person has good quality, a reason that they're here, and they have the ability to win.
You need to come across as being able to sell yourself in front of the judges.
It's time to deliver now, and I think it's going to get difficult. It's going to get harder.
I'd like to congratulate all of you for making it this far. You're just over halfway through the contest. And I think some of you have perhaps seen that it's possible to win the competition. And those of you that don't think it's within your grasp, it's not too late to change your strategy. So just think carefully about how you conduct yourselves going forward. There won't be any opportunities to make a mistake and recover after this. We're very fortunate that we have Marsh Africa as a sponsor. They've also been one of the mainstays since we started with this series, and also have a reputation, I think, for setting some of the more technical tasks in the competition. So just keep that in the back of your minds. And we're also fortunate in that we don't only have one guest judge, but 2. We've got Gert Waal and we've got Peter Links.
Today we're bringing a unique task to the apprentices. It's in the environmental space.
Environmental risk, climate change, extreme weather, and how we as the industry respond to those new and emerging risks.
It's not something that is familiar to many people in the insurance industry.
I think the challenge will be how do they synthesize quite a lot of complex information into simplistic messages, but that also highlights the key exposures.
They will also be expected to show their skills in terms of presentation at a board level, which is very important in our industry.
Good morning, apprentices. As mentioned, I'm Gert Wall, I'm the Clients and Markets Officer at Marsh Africa. As you may know, global leaders are currently attending the World Economic Forum in Davos. And it just so happens that your task today aligns to the top risks that have been identified by global risk managers in the Marsh-sponsored Global Risk Report of 2020 as presented in Davos. In today's task, you will be required to present the findings of an environmental due diligence report.
So the task for today is to use the environmental due diligence report that you've been issued to present at the next board meeting of the company. You will have 15 minutes to present. The board will allocate additional time in order to ask questions, and they may ask questions at any point during your presentation. The challenge is that you can have no more than 3 slides, and each team member must be responsible for 1 slide. The board values high quality presentations that are predominantly visual in nature, so visual preferred over text. Finally, you've only been allocated 2.5 hours to complete this task.
I'm addressing you as a group now before I split you into your teams. There is one among you that is kind of coasting, hiding, if you like. It's too late in the competition for that strategy to continue. So by the end of the day, if you haven't changed that, it is likely that you could be going home. All right, the teams today, in Group 1, we've got Memory, Sebastian and Amo. And in Group 2, we've got Vicky, Spamandla and JP. Good luck. That's all.
So we've just gotten our brief. This Marsh task is extremely challenging.
I think that this week's task is probably the most challenging.
I've worked with Sebastian last week, which was quite a pleasure.
Okay, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. I mean, these people are strong people that can present well and can speak well, but trying to teach them insurance now.
I like that I'm with JP in the team because I think, he's got an element of being able to organize properly who's supposed to do what.
Being placed next to Amma puts me in a good position. I think both of us are strong in our own rights.
From a leadership perspective, how are we tackling and approaching this one?
I don't know, it's up to everyone.
I think both Amo and I had an opportunity to lead.
Well, I've had a chance to be a leader. Amo had a chance to be a leader. It's your turn.
And considering what Simon's last comment was that one of you is moonlighting.
One of us. She's a bully. She's very direct. It does come out sometimes that it's coming out as though she's bullying. And she's a bit aggressive. She's very aggressive, actually.
Are you comfortable with taking the lead on this one?
Yeah, sure, let's do it.
Okay.
I'm okay to
Are you
do
sure?
that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I did pick up a bit of tension between Memory and Sebastian. Memory does exude a strong and confident personality. If you try and take her head on, I think there's bound to be clashes.
Remember, you're gonna have to spend a little extra time with us. I have pleasure working with Amakhala, but with Memory, she's a bit hard to work with.
The advice I'd give to Sebastian, especially when he's a leader, he needs to be aware of other people's strengths and weaknesses and really play to those. He likes to be very vocal when he's doing work. He wants to think out loud and talk, and I need silence. So from that perspective, I think there might be a little bit of clash in personality.
Memory now is busy. Memory, what are you doing? I can't talk right now, please. Girl is sabotaging me.
I think the disadvantage of talking while you process is that you distract everybody else. So everybody else does not get to do what they're meant to do because they're listening to you.
So we're going through the material, the brief, and at the end it says that we have to choose a leader.
If you guys will allow me, I would like to be the leader for this task today.
What do you say?
How do you feel about it?
The reason why I would say yes, I like the background that you have with regards to reinsurance.
I am the team leader. I volunteered myself. I want to put myself out there and show my capabilities today. So first I'll have a marine policy. Thereafter, have a facultative.
This is the first time I'm working with Vicky. Sometimes I asked the questions and I got the impression that she took offense, and I had to sort of explain to her that I'm just trying to establish what it is that she's working on.
I shall begin with my part because I have found the...
You're still comfortable?
I'm still comfortable. But you tell me.
I think our team is the stronger team.
I am happy with what we're going to present because I think we've identified the issues. What we can do is find your picture first. Find your idea, look through your picture and what you want. I think we're going to lay it all out, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then wow.
And then lastly, just speaking around the operations of the business. Because before we can actually understand the risks that the business is exposed to, we need to understand the operation, because it's in that process that you then start seeing the risks.
Guys, there's been an explosion. Yeah, there's been an explosion at the Durban Harbour.
Guys, hold everything. There's been an explosion. Something exploded somewhere.
We don't know if there's loss of life yet.
Oh gosh.
There's some video footage coming through.
The extremes.
We need everyone to help us here. It's feeding in now from Twitter right there behind you.
What is going on?
I actually didn't know what to do. I just looked at them and...
So all the employers, we need to activate our monitoring system.
Call this, let's see what's saying risk, business continuity management plans in place.
Guys, we can't find the company's CEO. We don't know where he is. The board's going to be on their way over right now. We've been advised. They're gonna need you to help them.
Yeah, we've changing plan in terms of the task.
Guys, we're going to have to rely on you on this task. What you now have to do is use what you've built up to now, and you now have to adapt that to deal with this crisis. You've got half an hour to deal with this.
The team needs to collect itself, remain calm.
My team and I are going.
We need to keep calm. We've done our research, and then we just need to put things together so that they tie in with what has happened.
Immediately your whole approach to the presentation changes because there's urgency.
We also have to make sure that we sorry.
Yeah, so all of that we just put together. Out the door.
I mean, that was quite dramatic, that video. I was like...
In chaos, sometimes there's also beauty.
So you say my executive team?
We are the executive team and we are here.
You know, we had identified these issues. We think you can remediate here. I think we must just link it all in one.
Right guys, time's up. So if you have not consolidated your slides as yet, please put on one computer.
It's a mess. I mean, it's not really...
What should have been responding is our environmental policy, which we
didn't have.
We got this.
We got this, guys.
It is what it is. We do our best in there.
Thank you for joining us at this rather difficult time. The floor is yours.
Hi everyone. We are the executive team and we've just heard as to what has happened, and we are here to ensure and make sure that you know that we are here for you.
So just to give you a status report immediately, I've got my phone with me. We're in constant communication with a team of people that are in our employ that are there at the location. We've got some drones giving us some live feeds as to what's going on. We're in constant communication with SAPs, with the fire brigade, as well as paramedics. We understand that there's loss of life.
As my colleague has mentioned, we've got drones that have been flown there taking live feeds. This is helping us to assess, to be able to try and speculate exactly what might have caused this explosion.
Guys, we just got notification that the captain is also missing, and also that the captain previously had reported that there were fumes, diesel fumes that were emitting out of the boat. We will keep you updated as the phone keeps alerting us.
As a board member, I'm very concerned. I think we have a news briefing in an hour. I don't understand the nature of these risks yet. I don't know what the implications are. Have you done any work in terms of how much we could be exposed at this point?
So at this moment, we could be experiencing firstly air pollution because of the smoke, the fumes. We could also be experiencing water pollution because there could have been some spillage from the vessel.
I think we might have a better understanding of what this exposure is after you've explained to us, because we really have no clue.
At the moment, you're currently making an annual revenue of 900 million.
Do you know how many people are at risk in the site where this accident has happened?
Yes. We were able to, so the distribution between your four sites, on the distribution side you've got 65 people.
With what has just happened in Durban, we have to assess all risks. We need to review your business interruption cover. We need to see if you have adequate cover right now for business interruption if plastics and recycling is impacted. Was the vessel covered under the marine cover? We have to assess up to what sum insured you have under the marine cover for this. We've also assessed that your environmental exposure, and what we could do with this environmental exposure is have environmental liability, and we could take this out with I2. There are a lot of permits, there are a lot of contracts, there's a lot of agreements that are about to expire. The fines could reach up to 20 million rand. So what we could do for your company...
What would that fine, a fine for what though? For not having a permit?
If there was a diesel leakage into the water.
Right.
It's important in situations like this that we keep a level head and that we involve the top management team. Obviously the CEO is the head of that cluster. As I mentioned, we're currently trying all efforts to locate him and to get hold of him, because it's very important that a plan like this involves the CEO, because this can have major implications for the business as a whole. What we know thus far is that your Durban branch is by far the riskiest area of your business. You store the waste materials there, but you also store your plastic materials.
What is the total exposure? What are we looking at here? We've got within a couple of minutes a press conference. We have to know what we're walking into.
There is obviously an explosion, so we've lost quite a lot of material, stock, those type of things. We do have the usual insurance policies in place. Hopefully we'll look to see whether they can assist us, and if there's cover in place. Business interruption is a major issue because now you've basically lost your entire branch in Durban.
And I think bottom line from an environmental, that looked like a huge explosion to me. So I'm assuming there's major spillage in the Durban harbour. What is the bottom line number for us on that?
Vicky unfortunately was being pressed on a particular question, and I hope that she wouldn't give an answer.
Once we get the drone report back and feedback, we are assessing and estimating around about 3 million rand.
3 million?
Oh, well, then there's no issue.
Did we just blow up a blank space in the universe?
My biggest mistake was actually giving a figure, and I gave a small figure.
What you're doing is you're potentially exposing us by giving an amount that we're not really sure about.
When Vicky said 3 million rands, I thought we are screwed.
We could do that.
That's just for now. We will update you as the figures.
The trauma of watching the clip is 3 million.
You could potentially get to hundreds of millions.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a gap between 3 and 100.
Fortunately, I jumped in and tried to just neutralize and explain that, look, if I can maybe just interject, I think my colleague is speculating. The exact number of that we don't know. Our loss adjusters will get on top of that, and they will give us some feedback. And then
all right, fair enough. Thank you. You're out of time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We just come out of the presentation relieved. Relieved it's done.
I'm concerned right now because we had our presentation and we didn't put any figures on it.
I believe what's happened here is they defaulted to their normal sort of set of knowledge, which is very much insurance related. What they failed to recognize is this was focused on environmental risk exposures, which for most part was uninsured completely in this task.
All right, well, unless there's anything else, I think we should bring in the next group.
I think so.
Okay. All right, bring them in. thank you for coming in at such short notice. The floor is yours.
Directors of the business, thank you very much for availing yourselves for this emergency meetings. As you guys know, within the Durban area, we just had an explosion. There is a crisis at hand and we need to mitigate that. We need to bring all our people on hand. We do understand that there might be some looting with regards to the green scorpions that are affecting our areas, and we know that we do have Sazerac to cover us on that.
Sorry, you just said something that caught my attention. You said there's Sazerac for the green scorpions, but that's the police.
Yo. Ha! So Sebastian says the green scorpions are going to trigger a Sazerac claim. And the green scorpions are the environmental police.
Aren't the green scorpions?
It's the environmental police.
Yeah, okay, not protesters. Are you aware of that?
I was not aware of that and I apologize for my negligence.
He had to backstep and say, I apologize, I didn't know who they are. So already, shame.
My team are here together to present as to the findings of our surveys and what are we doing with regards to the crisis that we have at hand. So I'm going to throw you over right now to Amakhalan Khaladi.
We sought to understand the operations of the business, and in this crisis, fortunately, that will now help us to be in an advantage. As you can see in our presentation there, the business has 3 operation points, and as we've mentioned, the operation that had damage was in the Durban area. So we have sent all of our freight individuals a communique to tell them that they should then go back to the plants to ensure that there's no damage taking place to their vehicles through strikes, so that whenever there's any bit of riot, there'll be...
Sorry. I'm curious as to how that ties into the environmental issue. Is that not really the crux of what we're here to discuss?
We're just trying to highlight that none of our other operations have been affected by the Durban explosion, and how we're mitigating any further risks or spillovers at these other operation points.
Okay. So are you saying we have no exposures in the other areas?
Only potential exposure would be from the interruption from a strike and riot point of view.
The exposure that we have currently with regards to fines and penalties amount to, with regards to the fuel that is spilled over from the ships and the explosion at the harbour, would be amounting to about 20 million rands. We also then identified that the pallets holding the plastic pebbles within the harbour might have been affected, that spills over to the sea. And the cleanup operation amounts to about 25 million rands. Then we have an additional exposure of R1 million that in the event of non-compliance with regards to the regulation, that will pay an additional R1 million or a year in prison. We then identify that we
have... just kind of glossing over a fairly important fact there. Who goes to prison?
It's the CEO, the leader of the business.
Oh, no wonder we can't find the guy.
Right now, we're not being able to transport our cargo to our sister companies and our brother companies within the country. That's going to be affected.
But does that add anything to our environmental exposures?
It does not add to our environmental exposure, but with regards to the crisis as well as the exposure that we have in greater effect.
I think critically at this stage is that this explosion happened in the harbour. There's potential for loss of life. So our first response was to take the EMS team and the fire department to try and see if anybody was hurt. Visibility is quite important. Even if we're not in our statement saying that this is our vessel, we just need to be sure that we're saying that should it be our vessel that has caused this accident, we need to show that we're taking responsibility. We need to be sure that we communicate to the public that we are on top of this, we're aware that this has happened.
It's not even her time to speak and she's talking. And to an extent where Simon said...
No, we get it. You're just repeating yourself. Thank you.
Guys, in terms of social media, we're getting feeds here that are saying that there's a president of a foreign country blaming our company and saying that we've never had a contract with it. What do we do with that?
As a South African company, and this gives rise potentially to diplomatic issues, to ensure that we communicate or liaise with the Department of International Relations to then see how we can potentially issue a joint statement as a company with them to ensure that we don't start causing diplomatic issues between the two countries, because we do still want to maintain those relations between the two countries as well.
I'm concerned. I'm a director. I have a fiduciary responsibility to run the company well and not impact on the environment. There may be loss of life. We're trending on social media. The green scorpions are looking at our sites. What do I need to do next?
We need to demonstrate that we're going to take responsibility if it's our plants that have been affected. Secondly, we need to be very clear on what the remedial actions, the reforms we're going to put in place to ensure that going forward, this does not happen again. At the moment, the environment is quite critical, so I think we need to show remorse for that as well. But the policies that the public relations have in place would already cover that. So all we have to do is read out that statement, but critically no other communications other than through one person, that is the chairperson, should be done.
It would have been ideal if you had a slide that you could take from here onto the presentation to the press.
But
I think that's very busy. I'm not sure that you can take this.
No. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. What a day.
I'd say we didn't work as optimally as we could together.
The presentation was nerve-wracking. I think especially that the judges could stop you at any point to ask questions.
I think Sebastian, as the team leader, could have deployed a bit more of an authoritative way of doing things. It clearly didn't pull us in the direction that we needed to.
I can't take this with me.
Today, I thought the overall performance was relatively disappointing. This person today was the winner. I mean, without any doubt. I thought they absolutely owned the group.
Going into the feedback, we did our best, and I think what will be will be.
I think right now, I'm not confident in our team's performance, I must admit.
On what was given, I think there was a clear winner.
This one's been sort of an impressive participant right since the beginning. But today I kind of felt faded a little bit into the background.
From my perspective, I agree. There weren't really any clear winners in terms of what we really wanted.
There is a large risk that we could be in the firing line.
I do feel as though I gave my all to stay another week.
I was very disappointed with this person. Once they stepped in here, I thought that this one in particular just faded away for me and
sort of cracked under pressure.
Cracked under pressure, started, talking absolute rubbish.
What about this one?
Not too bad today. I've criticized in the past about maybe also being a bit of a coaster. Today I thought that they stepped up to the plate quite nicely.
I really hope that I don't go home.
If I had to go at this point, I think I've had a good run. I've enjoyed interacting with everybody. I've challenged myself.
One of the things we wanted to see was teamwork. I don't think that came to the front in the boardroom.
I thought this one was particularly poor.
I'm a bit worried about our presentation and how I delivered it today.
I'd like to believe that I'm safe. I think I did enough to be safe.
I just hope it's not me.
And I've got my serious concerns here. I felt that every task we've just had this kind of fluff.
Rambling, really, not sort of conscious stream of thoughts, but not ordered in any way that has impact when you're talking to the board.
We could have done better, and we'll see what the judges have to say.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement then. I think we seem to be on the same page. Gert?
Yes.
Nadia? Peter?
Agreed.
All right, let's bring them back in. I'd like to start off by thanking Marsh Africa, particularly Gert and Peter. I think it was a superb task, very technical. I think the contestants would agree it was particularly challenging, and we definitely appreciate you being a part of the show. So I'm going to reserve my comments until the other judges have spoken.
Team 1, I'd like to get your feedback as to how you experienced today's task.
I think today's task was very challenging. It allowed us to really think outside the box, and obviously the twist in events pushed us to further think in terms of risk management when it actually happens right there and then.
It was a difficult task, especially with the curveball that was thrown, with the explosion, and having to come up and feel that empathy and give that sympathy as well as give solutions was difficult.
I think that made us think outside of everything that we know about the business and think about the country as well as the population, Earth, everything at once. But it was really, really pushing.
So I started today and I explained that the top risks globally for risk managers are environmental risks. In fact, all other risks now for the very first time are environmental. And from what we saw here, both teams really did not bring out that critical factor in terms of environmental.
My overall feeling today was that the biggest loser was the environment. You failed to put the impact on the environment at the center of the solution or the recommendations that you were making to board. So I was left as a board member with one exception, feeling like I didn't know what was next. Like I didn't know that you cared, that you were in control, and that you could advise me from a risk management and insurance perspective on what I needed to do next.
I must agree with Peter. The environment was the biggest loser here. I mean, I just didn't feel, it felt like you guys reverted to your safe spaces. And so I really did think that you missed the mark on this one.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty appalling from both teams. I was thoroughly disappointed. It just came across like, I don't know, do you guys live on this planet? Because you don't have to be an expert in environmental issues to know that a plastics and recycling business is probably going to be one of the biggest polluters that there are. They've got issues broad of this crisis that happened that you should have been talking about. I wanted to feel that as a business, we had a plan. We had a plan that wasn't just about how we were going to be putting out fires in the harbour. I just felt that both groups completely missed the brief, which is really unfortunate because when I looked at the brief, in the first 2 paragraphs, in addition to what was said by our judges, it was made very clear that even when discussing the other insurances available to the insured, you had to tie it back to an environmental impact or risk. It wasn't just about marine insurance or business interruption, somebody suggested. I swear I wanted to die when I heard that. So, I mean, there's no winning group today, and as far as I'm concerned, you're all losers. A missed opportunity at this high level of insurance professionals. Because there's no winning group, the only way we can decide who's going home right now is for us to look at the scores. Who had the lowest score today? So the next person leaving the Insurance Apprentice 2020 Vicky. Vicky, you're dismissed.
No, I don't think I should have been the one chosen to go home this week. I should be proud of myself. I made it far. I portrayed myself the way I think I should have portrayed myself. I've proven to myself within this game that I am strong. I think this opens doors for me. The industry now knows Vicky. And now, the sky is not my limit, it is my starting point.
Now, even though it was generally a pitiful performance from all of you, we did have a top score today, and this individual was actually substantially higher than the rest of the group. And I'd like to congratulate Memory. Given the circumstances and the fact that you missed the mark slightly, you are the top scorer in the group today, and well done for that. As I said earlier in the week, it's a low heap, but you are on top of it right now. But I'm not done. We've just passed the halfway point in the competition. You've all worked with each other. In fact, you know each other better than we do. You've all been given a piece of paper. I mentioned this morning that there's someone among you that has been coasting. We are at the highest level of the competition now. We cannot have this person moving forward into the top 4. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to write down the name of the next person to leave the Insurance Apprentice 2020. Now, seeing as we didn't have a clear group winner today, normally the group would have immunity from the vote. In this instance, the highest score is immune. You may not vote for memory. Memory, you must still cast a vote. Please write down the names.